Hi lads, summer's here and it's getting a little bit more humid below the waist. Now I've got a question for you. Have you heard of the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped? Well, you should have if you've listened to the Talking Walls podcasts over the last month. My next question for you is, have you purchased it? And if not, why? Because it's a wonderful bit of kit. It's perfect for shaving your front, your back. I do my beard with it, and of course other regions which I won't disclose. It's perfect for keeping yourself a little bit more trim. Now you're around the pool, now summer's here, now you're around the beach. So yeah, I use it, I think it's fantastic, and I believe that we may have a little special offer for you.
Yes, Matt, we certainly do. Our followers can get an extra 20% off and free shipping on the Performance Package 4.0 by using the code TalkingWalls at manscaped.com. The Performance Package 4.0 will include the Lawnmower 4.0 electric trimmer, the Weed Whacker 2.0, which is an ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver, which is your ball deodorant and spray toner, alongside your disposable shaving mats, Manscaped boxers, and your travel bag. So head on over to manscaped.com using the link in our description and use code TalkingWalls for 20% off and free shipping. That's the code TalkingWalls at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So welcome back to Talking Walls for another match preview, another busy weekend of Premier League action. But Premier League action does return to Molineux this weekend as Wolves host Brighton. Alongside me today, we've got Tom from the Teams Like Brighton podcast. Tom, how you keeping, man?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Thanks for jumping on. It's been an unbelievable couple of years, hasn't it, for Brighton? And I'm sure it'll still continue. The movements in the transfer market, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well, and a fantastic finish in the Premier League last year as well. But kicking off with a big win, Tom, on Saturday. I think everyone would have, backed Brighton to beat Luton, but we were never sure how comfortable it was going to be with them being a team on the up with momentum. But how did you find it from a Brighton point of view?
Do you know what? Every time I keep on looking back on it, the result really did flatter us a lot. I think there were some cracking chances that we could have taken from João Pedro. Personally, I think he could have had a hat-trick. He had so many great chances. And then he just found his rhythm with the penalty, and he was a lot better after that. And I don't even think it was even that bad before that, personally. Everything seemed to be going well our way. And Luton had plenty of chances themselves. I think they were in our box about 37 times, which I believe in the Athletic said it's like a record for a newly promoted side to play against a top six club who finished top six last season. Some crazy unique stat like that anyway. So I don't think Luton are a team to be underestimated or to just be seen as the whipping boys this season. I think they might surprise a few people. But ultimately, I was really, really impressed with the understanding from the new signings, De Hood and Milner particularly. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of leadership from James Milner in that midfield too, that usually was occupied by McAllister and Caicedo, who are no longer with us now. We can officially say after months of speculation.
Yeah.
And but ultimately, I'm really impressed with what we've got, with what we've had. I mean, 5 substitutions, all attacking minded, more or less, and the strength in depth that we actually do have in attack is amazing. Initially, we were quite concerned about De Zerbi's comments about saying Welbeck, Pedro, and Ferguson will be all the strikers that he needed, which is a change in tune from him. I think after the Arsenal match, when he said we're still not ready for 2-3 games a week. So going from that and then losing Undav to Stuttgart, we're still seeing this excellent example of depth and fluidity in the attack. So ultimately, really impressed and really happy with the start.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, like I said earlier, it's been an unbelievable couple of years of Brighton. The movements in the transfer market. Now, Brighton have almost set a standard and a blueprint. And outside the sort of top 4, top 6, every other team is saying, well, why can't we go around the transfer market like Brighton are doing? Because you're buying players for reasonable fees and selling them for some of them, in this case, this week, astronomical fees. So for you as a Brighton fan as well, are you sort of cautious not to get too hooked and too attached to players? Have there been some instances over the last 12 to 18 months where you've been really, really disappointed at how a player's left or the fee they've left for? Or have Brighton fans sort of come to expect now that, yes, we might sign a player for 5 or 10 million, But we need to, as long as we're getting a good amount of money, we're happy to see them move on, and almost this conveyor belt of talent just keep happening.
I think what people need to understand, I think a lot of Brighton fans need to appreciate this as well. I think some fans are a bit naive, and I think we're going to be controversial in saying this, and we've just got to appreciate the stature that we're in. And what I mean by that, it's a case of the players that we're going to be coming in they will more or less see our club as a stepping stone club. And I think we do market that to players as well.
For sure, yeah.
Ferguson has said in the past about how, he wants to build on his career. He wants to play at the highest level. And absolutely, he deserves to be. He's an unbelievable talent. And I've got no doubt in my mind that he will probably be going next season if, push comes to shove. He has a fantastic season this year because, the guy is knocking on Champions League quality. Can we get there? I mean, every season we seem to be getting better and better and better. But, there's going to be a slump. Chelsea and Spurs will be knocking on the door. They haven't got European football. There's so much to that question. But going back to what you're saying, like, I'll always love what Caicedo has done. I mean, I know a lot of people on Twitter saying about him booing. I find that ridiculous because if you're booing him now because he's definitely left and because it's Chelsea, then why wouldn't you booing him from January onwards when he was trying to force a move to Arsenal?
Yeah.
We could go all yin and yang on it. I think personally, having McAllister in our squad when he went on and to win the World Cup and not just be part of the squad, but he played such an instrumental role in Argentina's World Cup winning success, and then being able to say, yeah, we scouted him, we helped him develop, we got him into the squads, we molded him into the player that he is now. I wouldn't say molded like as if like any other club didn't have that influence, but we were incredibly influential in that. And he wanted to go to Liverpool. Fair enough. Liverpool made the bid and triggered not a release clause, but it was a release mechanism, as it's worded at the club. Yeah. So the same with Caicedo. He wants to leave. That's fine. £100 million, please. And Chelsea delayed, and then Liverpool come in and go for him, and then Chelsea give us 115 plus a sell-on clause. To me, I think the two most important people in our club is Tony Bloom and Paul Barber. Tony Bloom is, he's one of the richest owners in the Premier League. He's a diehard Brighton fan. The Bloom family have been part of the club probably since its inauguration in 1901. So, they live and breathe blue and white. They really do. And Paul Barber's mainly there just to make those really uncomfortable and unpopular business decisions when it comes to not just the transfer market, but commercial deals. That there's such a great structure in place. And yeah, Barber gets slack, but he's fantastic as well. And Geg, I'm digressing, but going back to your question about, we could be losing these players in 12 and 18 months. I just love the structure that we're in, because when I look at the youth squad that's in place, I get excited with some of the players that are in there. When I look at the current squad, I'm excited with some of the players that didn't get a chance because of how well we were doing last season with our previous crop, and seeing what opportunities that they can have. We've got European football this year, which is I'm still my mind is boggling at the fact that there are at least six extra matches in our calendar that involve trips in Europe. The mind boggles on that part, and it's something that we've never come close to in the past. Unless Smith actually scored against Manchester United in '83, I'll be talking about something completely different. But we're just in this fantastic opportunity, and I'm just here enjoying it. And I respect these players. None of them have really thrown their toys at the pram massively in public. I know that there was an incident of Trossard, and Cucurella was a little bit frustrated with his Chelsea move being delayed by about a week or two. But those are very unique situations, and De Zerbi's had his foot on the mark. He controls that dressing room really well, and everyone just backs one another. And when you have that, you have a really strong system in place, and you're not overly reliant on the player. You're relying on the system that it's had, and I think that's where Brighton are really good at that, and they've learned from previous case studies like Southampton, and sadly like yourselves, Wolves.
I think, I mean, it's been an amazing couple of years. Like even last year, the way that Brighton almost sort of reacted and just carried on improving even after Graham Potter went. There'll be a lot of clubs that sort of, he started off quite well last season, Potter, and obviously moved on to Chelsea. But there's a lot of clubs that have almost stagnated and have almost had to have taken 2 steps back, let De Zerbi have a pre-season and kick on from there. But De Zerbi just carried on, had a phenomenal campaign and got some great results out of players as well. The games between Brighton and Wolves, the more recent ones have not been kind to Wolves. Beforehand, they were all very, very close games. I remember at the Amex, not last year, the year before, we got a 1-0 win around Christmas time. And then
that's right.
You beat us very comfortably at Molineux. Last season, I thought the game at Molineux was very close. And obviously, we went down to 10 men and you ended up winning that game. And obviously, we won't talk about that game at the Amex. It was, honestly, that was just... Lopetegui did a good job with us at home, got some results, but ultimately lost 6-0 at Brighton. We lost 5-0 at Arsenal on the final game of the season. I'm not sure how much you would have seen, Tom, of our game on Monday against Manchester United. I'm sure you would have heard of it because of the controversy and so on. But the level of performance there really surprised Wolves fans. The work rate, the quality of the attacking movement. And that's why I just think when the way you mentioned Luton there, the amount of times they got into the area, if Wolves could repeat their performance against Manchester United, against Brighton, being at home as well, if we have got that chance of possibly getting a positive result out of this game, where are the areas that Wolves, do Brighton have any weak links? Where are the areas that Wolves could get some joy on Saturday?
Every club has weak links. They really do. And I think at the moment, I would say if I was a scout for Wolves looking at Brighton, I'd probably be saying our right back area is probably a weak spot at the moment. James Milner started there and he rotated with Pascal Gross quite a lot, who was initially starting centre mid alongside Mahmoud Dahoud.
Yeah.
And they were floating around whenever, depending on position of the ball, who's got possession of the ball, they were floating around. So if you can exploit that interchange very quickly on a counter, perhaps on your left with your left winger and overload your left side of the midfield, then I think you're going to be having quite a fun time this weekend. That will probably be the main weakness for me. I think the other thing that is quite important is the fact that we've got a brand new spine now. We've got Jan-Paul van Hecke started, so it looks like as if we've got a new serious partnership in Lewis Dunk and Jan-Paul van Hecke. We've got a brand new midfield, really. João Pedro plays behind the striker, so Danny Welbeck or Evan Ferguson, perhaps. And then Mahmoud Dahoud and Pascal Gross is there. It's the new look midfield. And we don't have Ali Mack or Caicedo anymore. Luton, we were very solid, but I'm expecting some sort of banana slip somewhere along the line. And when I was watching Bournemouth last season, Gary O'Neill was, the way you were complimenting your side on Monday night, and to this day, I'm a qualified ref myself, and I'll say it was criminal, the fact that you guys didn't get that penalty. And, the circumstances that have happened as a result of that should be acknowledged, I think, because, I know there needs to be a lot of support for officials, but there needs to be a sense of accountability and standard there. And everyone failed there. I wouldn't blame the referee per se, but questions have to be asked for the VAR team there, because
for sure.
It was very, very clear to see that Onana wasn't going to win the ball, and he went straight. He clattered the guy. So very, very hard done by there. But Gary, like you say, work rate was there. The attacking influence and sort of the attacking mindset that O'Neill plays, it was there as well. I know that a lot of people on Twitter were kind of defending the sacking of him over at Bournemouth, because if you looked at the stats when he started, he was more or less flirting around for sort of 15th downwards, which of course doesn't make for great viewing, but he got the results at the end. And I think because of how Lopetegui went and how just things played out for Wolves 3 days before the season, I think Gary O'Neill was probably the right choice to have. I don't see him as a long-term option, sadly. But I do see him as being that short-term option where Wolves can have a bit of breathing space and be like, right, what's our 5-year plan? What's going to happen there? And I do see us having a little bit of a close encounter with you guys, because I also think that 6-0 was a bit of was a freak accident as well. I know it happened again. Lightning struck twice over at the Emirates and that, but you guys seem to be up for it. But as soon as that second goal went in, your heads went down.
Yeah, I think Wolves will be aware. Obviously, we know how good Brighton are. I think we can certainly take the positives out of Monday's game. And obviously, being at Molineux, I'll be interested to see what the atmosphere is like. Again, which players are up for it as well. I'll let you quickly think, Tom, about a potential lineup for Brighton, because I'll flag mine up on the screen now for people at home. I said a very, very close team to what started against Manchester United on Monday, but Pablo Sarabia was in ahead of Pedro Neto. I would fully expect either Hwang or Pedro Neto to come back in for Sarabia. So it'll be Jose Sarr, Ait Nouri, Kilman, Dawson, Semedo, João Gomez, Lamina, Nunes, Neto, and I'll go with Fabio Silva alongside Mateus Cunha as well. With Caicedo going, Tom, do you think there's going to be... Was he in the squad on Saturday, was he? Or
No, he wasn't.
No, so he wasn't. So there shouldn't be much changes, you'd assume, from the Brighton side of things. So how do you think you'll line up?
I think it will be unchanged at the back. So Jason Steele in goal, and then we've got James Milner, Lewis Dunk, our captain, Jan Paul van Heck, and Purvis Estupiñán at left back. So if you're an FPL player, you can rejoice at the fact that Estupiñán will be playing at left back. Technically speaking, he is our only left back, only recognised left back at the moment. So hopefully that's somewhere that we can invest in toward come September the 1st.
You've got a little bit of money now to do that anyway, Tom.
I like to think so, but you know, I'm keeping trust in Bloom and Barber. But I think
for sure
the lack of fullbacks that we have in our squad, that might come to haunt us when that fixture list gets very congested come the winter months. Midfield and the centre pairing, Pascal Gross and Mamadou Dahoud, they were solid throughout. I can't see there being any solid changes there. Maybe Billy Gilmore might start ahead of Gross or Dahoud. It'll be a choice between those three. And then the three behind the striker, I'm going to go for Solly March, João Pedro, and I'm going to change it around here. It's going to be Simon Adingra. Personally, I was watching a lot of Belgian football last season because I really like what I was reading about Adingra, and he is an entertainer for sure. He did come on for March and played on the right, but I do think Matoma might get rotated over, and then Matoma might be coming on the bench. But I'll be very surprised if he'll be an unchanged 11. But I'm also going to say Welbeck's going to get drops onto the bench, and then Evan Ferguson's going to start as well. And that'll be my 11. So there's be two changes there: Welbeck and Matoma down on the bench, and then Simon Adingra and Evan Ferguson to start as well.
Well, the Matoma shout for my FPL reasons, you know, but no, João Pedro was one. I really liked that sign, and I think obviously he went down. He stayed with Watford for a little bit, and again, fantasy football wise, a lot of people had João Pedro, and like you said a lot earlier on, he got that penalty, but I think he could have easily had one or two other goals as well. Obviously, you're talking about still potentially improving the team, and I'd assume Brighton would. I'm not going to say you're going to spend all 115 million, but you'd assume there's going to be a little pot of money to try and invest a little bit more into that squad. Is there anybody from our current Wolves squad that you think could come in and improve, or anyone that you like that you think would improve Brighton's squad?
Oh, if you asked me a couple months ago, I would take Ruben Neves in a heartbeat. I, to this day, like I'm still shaking my head over it, but Ruben Neves is for me one of the best midfielders going in the league, I've really thought. And how you guys managed to keep hold of him is it was damn right impressive, to be honest with you. Who can I think of? I think I quite liked couple of years ago, I quite like Semedo. I think he's a little bit of a wind-up merchant. He knows how to really wind up the plays to get that advantage. Lamina was very impressive, I thought, on Monday, and I think he even got given a certain Garth Crooks play of the.
That's not good though. If he's in Garth Crooks,
I know it's not. I think that's why I'm saying it in such jest. But I think that. If I'm going to be pretty honest, I'm going to be mean. I can't really see anyone. I think probably I would say Nelson Semedo, just because we just need that depth in fullbacks. Maybe Ryan Ait-Nouri, just because I think he's a football manager legend in my books. I mean, he guided me to so many Champions Leagues. So I'll have to say him. I'm quite excited by Juan Hee-chan. trying to think who else is in your squads really. Because I know that you lost Jimenez, which is a shame, but you know, you've got Pedro Neto, I think he's Podence as well. Podence, I just think that there's something in him that makes him very, very special. And I just think with the right manager, you're going to be laughing again in attack if you have Podence in your team. And defenders will worry about him. And if you hear his name get called up in that first time when you get hit the first 11, you think, yes, Podence is in. Here we go, guys. There's something about him that I really like. But yeah, in answer to your question, I think I'll just go Semedo for me.
Semedo was phenomenal. I think arguably man of the match for us against Manchester United on Monday. To be fair, 8-0, he had a good game. Podence, believe it or not, I think he looks like he's on the way out. He's a little bit of a whinger, let's say, but a very talented player nonetheless. Even Celtic whispered with looking at him, and I think he'd do bits in the Scottish League, to be honest. But it's going to be an interesting game, Tom. If I had to trouble you for a score prediction, what do you reckon?
I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be quite end-to-end, but I'm going to have to say Albion to win 2-1.
Yeah, I think the form Brighton are in at the moment, obviously a fantastic win to kick off the season. I think it'll be a close game as well. I would take a point, I think. I don't know if I'm being quite negative there. I'd take a 1-1. If not, if Wolves can nick a 2-1, both teams to score, but Wolves to edge it, that'd be brilliant. Very quickly before we end, Tom, so what stage of Europe are you guys starting off in? Are you in the group stage, or you got to do some qualifying stages, or...?
Group stage. So in the group stage, so 1st September will be, I think we're most certainly going to be pot 3 just because of our just sheer inexperience. So we're now on we have to use the national coefficient, which, puts us down to pot 3. So we're going to have a couple of tough matches, but, you know, recognised European talents. There's some great clubs that have dropped down from the Champions League qualifiers, Marseille being one of them, which would be incredible. I mean, Velodrome would be amazing to be part of. You've got Ajax, potentially PSV dropping down as well. So the possibilities are endless. But I think if you ask any Brighton fan who they want in the group stages, they'll just say 3 teams in Europe, happy days, let's go for it.
Well, obviously we had Europe a few years ago, and obviously I don't wish to be negative or just enjoy it whilst it's here. Really, I know there's every chance you try and do a few games and you qualify again. But for Wolves fans, I think we were unlucky with COVID as well. But I think we almost took it for granted. Luckily I did quite a few of those away games. But at the moment it just seems a distant memory. So for you guys, hopefully, try and enjoy it whilst you can, and definitely try and do a couple of away games, Tom, if you can as well. So
absolutely. Don't you worry about that. The credit card is set to one side for it all. Don't you worry. When the fixtures come out on the 2nd before that Newcastle match, me and my mate, we've got the laptops at the ready. We're booking the flights. We're booking the accommodation. Even if we don't get tickets, we're just going to be part of it. That'll be just incredible.
Brilliant experience. Tom, before we finish off, where can people check you out if they wish?
Yeah, guys. If you want to hear me talk about all things Albion, be sure to follow teams like Brighton on all your whatever you listen to on your podcasts, and there's on YouTube as well.
Brilliant, Tom. Thank you very much. And thank you for jumping on the preview. Guys, let us know your thoughts ahead of this game in the comment section down below. Be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with all the post-match reaction after the game on Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you all very, very soon.